This is KTVO's Good Morning Heartland.
And welcome back. Garden season is here, and whether you're a novice or a veteran, having the right equipment can make your gardening experience easier and more fun. So how do you know if you have the right tools? Well, we have Sue Limestall here this morning to break it down for us. How are you doing?
Good morning. I'm doing just fine.
Thanks for coming on. So first of all, what are some of the must-have tools or basic tools that any gardener should have in their shed?
Well, I think it depends on if you're going to do container gardening, when you want small tools like a small hand shovel, so that you can put your annuals in your pots. But if you're going to be working in the soil, you need bigger shovels, so you might have some type of a spade or a shovel that you'll use in order to dig in larger soil amounts.
Okay, so let's talk about, people buy their gardening tools and they have them for years to come, hopefully, if they properly maintain them. What is the best way to keep them clean so we know that we can use them year after year?
Well, obviously, keeping them clean helps them improve in function and performance, and also helps them to last a long time. So during the season, you should always clean your tools, not leave it like this shovel, which is got mud on it.
Yeah.
That should be cleaned on a regular basis.
Okay.
So you can always use something like a putty knife in order to brush off or to make sure that you get the dirt off.
Okay.
You can also wash it off with soap and water. Use a nylon scrub brush to
And just basic soap and water, like dish soap, is that fine?
that would be fine.
Okay, all right.
The key thing is to make sure it gets dry, thoroughly dried afterwards.
Okay.
And then you want to keep it the metal oiled. Now, some people use a light household 3-in-1 oil. I try to use something a little more benign to the environment, not a petroleum based, but something vegetable based. So vegetable oil, just a light coating of oil on there will help preserve it, prevent rust from forming.
Interesting. And so you want to do that after every use, or just maybe once a season?
No, that would be regular.
Oh, okay.
Regular use. The oil meat, you may not have to do that often if you've kept it oiled.
Okay.
But you do want to clean it on a regular basis. I've been working in my garden on a landscape project, so I brought a dirty shovel in, and that should have been cleaned up when I finished my work on that day.
Okay. And what are some other ways that you can clean your tools?
The longer you put it off, the harder it will be. So you might get to the point where you need to use something like steel wool and a lot of elbow grease in order to have an effect upon the shovel. When you're looking close at this shovel, you can see the bottom part's been pretty cleaned of rust, but the top part still has quite a bit of rust on it.
Yeah, you can see the difference.
And it just depends upon how much effort you want to put into it to make sure that you get it clean. So some steel wool and some WD-40 will work. I've even used Coca-Cola to eat the rust.
Interesting.
And then to clean it off.
I've always heard that Coca-Cola works on rust, and now you're saying that you use it.
I've used it just as an experiment to try. I prefer something like the elbow grease and steel wool. A steel brush will also get a lot of the dirt and grime off on a regular basis. That would be another item to use. Okay. You do want to keep your tools sharp. Okay. So probably maybe once a month, depending on how often you're using the tools, you might want to, any cutting blade you might want to sharpen up.
And that's what you would use.
And you can use a flat file or a round file just to give a few whacks across the bevel edge just to make sure that you're keeping a good sharp edge.
All right. What about your gloves?
The gloves are to protect my hands as well, mostly if I'm working in the dirt, but also if I'm going to be handling tools. The problem with a handle like this, where it's not been maintained, you have a lot of burrs. You can easily get splinters. Whereas if you would regularly, say once a season and the end of the season, take some sandpaper and give a light brush across your wood handles, and then reseal them with linseed oil, some type of an oil finish. I use tung oil.
Okay. All right. Now, when it comes to gloves, is there a specific kind you need to use, or any kind of glove is okay as long as it's protecting your hands?
If you're working with sharp edges, a leather glove will work just wonderful to help protect your fingers and hands.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much. This is all a lot of new information that I didn't even know about, and what we'll do is we'll post all of this on our website at heartlandconnection.com. Thank you so much for coming in.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And we'll be right back.